Once you've located the eDiscovery portal and you've created a login and secure password, you're now ready to search all of the information that's on eDiscovery. This PowerPoint is intended to assist you in explaining some of the information that's located on the eDiscovery portal. Once you log on to eDiscovery, you'll see that there are a number of documents that are on the website. You'll see certification documents, including instrument files. You'll see breath test operator training manuals. You'll see a number of OAT protocols, both current and archived, and a number of other documents as well. This here is a non-exhaustive list of just some of the information that's located on the eDiscovery portal. Once you've accepted the terms of use, you'll be brought to the main page of the Office of Alcohol Testing eDiscovery portal. This main page has hyperlinks to conduct searches for certain material. You'll note instrument file searches are available, breath test searches, and periodic test searches are available on this main page. There's also a general reference section on the bottom left-hand corner, which we'll get into a little bit more detail of what information is contained there, but you'll also note that a number of documents of interest are located under the reference material hyperlink. On the right-hand side, the 3 most recent notifications that have been drafted by the Office of Alcohol Testing are posted, and if you need ones that predate any of those 3 most recent, you can click on the link that says View Past Notices, and the rest will also be posted there. What is on eDiscovery? I'll begin with a description of what was previously included in the old standard discovery packet. This form on the right-hand side of the slide is the old standard discovery request form that was filled out by prosecutors and sent to the Office of Alcohol Testing. In response, the Office of Alcohol Testing would prepare a packet of documents and send them directly to the clerk's office. The old standard discovery packet contained these 4 categories of documents: what was termed the 9024 record, OAT breath test data for the defendant, periodic test record, OAT periodic test data for calibration standard tests initiated by the agency prior to the breath test, calibration and verification records, certification data and documents, and the certification summary. I'll show you in just a moment where some of the same information can be located on the eDiscovery portal. If you are looking for what was previously termed the 9024 record, you can locate this information by going to the Breath Test Searches hyperlink on the main page of the eDiscovery portal. And you can either search by the serial number or by the location of the instrument, such as the police department or the state police barracks where that instrument is located. If you choose to search for breath test records by police department or state police barracks breath test instrument location, you'll be asked to select from a drop-down menu for that specific police department or barracks that you're looking for. You'll also have to enter a test date. But if you aren't certain of the test date, that's perfectly fine. Whatever date you enter into that test date field, the search returned will actually include tests that occurred up to 180 days before and 180 days after, if any, the date that you've entered into that field. If you choose to search for breath test records by serial number, you'll be able to select the serial number from a drop-down menu, and you will have to include either a specific test date or a sequential test number for the test that you're looking for. Sequential test number can be found on the breath test report form, or alternatively, if you don't have the breath test report form and you have a either specific date or a general idea of what date the test was given on, you can enter a date in the field for test date. And again, the search will be conducted for 180 days before and 180 days after that date that you've entered. So if, for example, you use the information that I plugged into the previous slide and you conduct a search for breath test records by serial number for serial number ARBF-0135, and you use the test date of October 16th, 2019, eDiscovery will return a search that looks like this. and includes 180 days before the target test date that you entered and 180 days after. If you're looking for any one of the specific tests, you can then scroll through, locate the test that you're looking for, and click on the blue View tab or hyperlink to open up an additional document. This is what the 9024 breath test report looks like on eDiscovery. This report contains information such as the sequential test number, the date of the arrest or the breath test that's administered, the serial number it was administered on, the BT location, such as the police department or the barracks where the instrument is located, as well as the breath test certification expiration date and the CalGas expiration date as well, in addition to the actual breath test results. On eDiscovery, you could also search for periodic test records. Now, these aren't copies of the documents that are generated in the police station when the officers in charge of the police barracks or police departments conduct the periodic test. Those documents are located with the officers in charge, the keeper of the records for those periodic tests. Instead, on eDiscovery, you can conduct a search for the instrument information that's saved during the process of conducting a periodic test, which is ultimately saved and populated into the eDiscovery portal. In order to conduct one of these searches, you could click the hyperlink that says search for periodic test records by serial number, and you will need to know the serial number for this particular search. In order to search for the periodic test records that are located on the eDiscovery portal, you'll again select from the drop-down menu for the serial number you're looking for, and you'll have to include a test date in that box that says search test date. We recommend using the subject's date of arrest for that search, and the search will actually return periodic tests 180 days before and 180 days after the test date that you've entered there. If you're looking for a larger span of time, you can enter a different date in that field for search test date. So this screen here is an example of a search that I conducted for periodic test records for the serial number ARBA-0001. I wasn't very creative. I just used the first serial number in the drop-down menu, and then I selected October 16th, 2019 as the search test date. And you'll see that it returned on this screen. It was actually more than just 8 results. I screenshot the results and only 8 fit on the page without distorting it. But it returned several more. As you'll see, if you go over several columns, the periodic test date goes as far back as June 18th of 2019. So as I mentioned earlier, when you search for the periodic test records, it will conduct the search when you use that target date of 180 days before that date and 180 days after that date. If you're looking to actually view the periodic test information summaries, you can click on that blue hyperlink that says View on the right-hand side, and it will open up the periodic test information. So as I mentioned, if you select one of the periodic test records that you're looking for by clicking that blue View hyperlink on the right-hand side, you can open up a document that at the top will say periodic test record. On the left-hand side, it'll indicate that it's a summary, and it will include information such as the serial number, the gas lot that particular cylinder that was used for the periodic test came from, the expiration date of the gas. It will also include the location of the instrument. And it will then have the 5 readings for the periodic test. If you're looking to print that particular document, this screen doesn't show it, but on the screen that you'll open, it will have a green Save or Print Report function. You'll click on that particular hyperlink. It will then open up to this page that you see here on the slide, and you'll be able to print that document for your needs. The next category of information that's available on the eDiscovery portal is under the search for breath test instrument certification searches. So it's under that hyperlink that says breath test instrument certification searches. So if you're looking for information that used to be called in the older OAT packets, it used to be called calibration and verification records, you can find this same information now by conducting the breath test instrument certification search. And I'll also note that the fourth category of information that used to be in the old OAT standard discovery packets was a certification summary. That certification summary is located when you conduct a breath test instrument certification search. On that document that you could print out from the eDiscovery portal, it includes the same information that was previously included in the certification summary. So I'll take you through the process of conducting a breath test instrument certification search. So there's actually a couple of different ways to search for breath test certification records. But if you are going to use this particular search function under the hyperlinks under breath test instrument certification searches, there's two options here as well. You can search for breath test certification records by serial number, or you can search for breath test certification history by serial number. We'll start here by walking through a search for the breath test certification records by serial number. And you will have to have both the serial number and the certification date. If you use the drop-down menu and select a serial number for an instrument and pick a random certification date, then it will return a search that there were no records found. So you actually do need to look and know the date of the certification in order to conduct this type of a search. You can find the certification date both on your breath test report form that you may receive in Discovery. It's generated at the police station with the breath test results on it. You could also go and conduct an instrument file history search, and I'll get to those searches in just a minute. But if you do search through the instrument file, that will tell you what all the dates of certifications are, and then you can conduct a search for this information as well. So as I just mentioned, the serial number and the certification date are both on the breath test report form that you'd get from the police station or the barracks. Here is an example of one that's been redacted for all of the personal identifying and CORI information. But this purple box in the middle of the page shows you where the serial number and the certification date is located. So if you are looking for that information, this is where you'll find it on the breath test report form right in that section in the middle of the page so that you could conduct your breath test instrument certification search. So if you're looking to conduct a search for breath test certification records by serial number, I'll give you an example by using the information from the previous slide for the breath test report form from the previous slide. I'll click the link for breath test certification record by serial number, and I'll go to the drop down for ARBF-0055. I'll use the certification date of November 9th of 2018 because on that breath test report form it said that the certification begins on November 9th of 2018. That's essentially when the last certification prior to the breath testing question was. And when I do that, it brings me to a screen with information related to that breath test certification record. And if you want to print or save that information, there is a green button on the right top hand that says Save or Print Report, and you can go ahead and click that. It will open up this particular document that you could then review. And I think I mentioned earlier that if you're looking for the information that used to be termed the certification summary, that information is also contained on this document. It's toward the end of this document, and here I've highlighted it in red to show you where that certification summary information is. If you want to conduct a search for the breath test certification history for a particular serial number, you can click on the hyperlink for Search for Breath Test Certification History by serial number, and the eDiscovery portal will return all of the search results that show when a particular serial number had a certification. Now, you can get very similar information if you actually do an instrument file search. And in conducting an instrument file search, you can actually see the PDF documents that are generated during the certification process, which I'll get to in just a minute. But here, this is just sort of a quick search if you just quickly need to look at the entire certification history of an instrument, and you're just looking for the data that was generated during that certification process, as that data is ultimately saved and ultimately populated through the eDiscovery portal right here so that you can see it all in one place. So when I conduct this search for breath test certification history for ARBA-0001, I just used the first serial number in the dropdown. And this is what that search result will look like. Literally a list of the certification dates when that particular instrument was certified. And you can then click on that blue view button and it will open up a document that contains all of the results that were generated during that particular certification event. So when you click that blue view icon or link on the search page, you'll be able to open up the specific certification that you're looking for, and it will open up to a page that then has a green print or save report icon. You can click on that, and that will open up this particular document that I have right here on this slide, and then you could print or save it. But just note that this information that's generated in the certification searches is just a summary of data that's generated during the certification process. When the analysts in the lab are certifying the instrument, that information is ultimately saved and pushed to the eDiscovery portal to generate summaries such as these. You can view the actual documents that are printed during the certification process and are contained in the instrument file kept in the Office of Alcohol Testing by conducting a search of the instrument file. And I'll show you how to do that in just a few slides. So up until this point in this presentation, I've shown you how to locate the same information that was previously located in the standard discovery packet that was sent to the clerk's office, but what is now in a different format located on the eDiscovery portal. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more of what's on eDiscovery, because wait, there is more. You'll see a section on the left-hand bottom corner of the main page of the eDiscovery portal that says reference, and underneath it there are multiple bullets. The very first one is the reference materials section. That section is robust with a number of different documents. So once you click on that reference materials hyperlink, it'll bring you to this next page, and that top tab of information is ANAB accreditation documentation. This isn't all of the accreditation documentation that's out there, but it does include our application, our certificate, our scope. If you review any of this documentation and you're looking for something else specific, feel free to reach out to the Office of Alcohol Testing anytime. Our contact information is at the end of this PowerPoint presentation. You can reach out by phone during business hours, or you could reach out by email anytime. The eDiscovery portal also has a tab for the CMRs, the Safe Roads Act, so 501 CMR 2.0. It has the version from 2010 and then the more recent 2016 version. You'll also see a category for Draeger documents. This includes a few affidavits that have been generated by Draeger, as well as a summary of a firmware update that Draeger had worked on in 2021. There's also a tab for Office of Alcohol Testing protocols. You'll see there's one for current protocols, and you can find there any of the OAT protocols that are currently active and in use. Also in that reference materials section, we have the archived OAT protocols. So any protocols that are no longer in use or have been archived are also available for your review. The breath test operator manuals are available here under the reference section, And you can see both the current breath test operator manual and any older versions of the breath test operator manual posted here. The eDiscovery portal also has some documents related to the responsibilities of the officer in charge. So under the tab, under reference materials that's entitled Officer in Charge, there are a number of documents there. A few of them are the Officer in Charge designation list. So if you're wondering who the officer in charge is for a particular barracks or a particular department, this has a list of each department's designated officer in charge, and the date is associated with it, so you can see up to current who the officers in charge are. And there's also a reference guide, which is just some information and materials associated with the responsibilities of the officer in charge. And if you scroll all the way down on this page, you can also open up a document that gives instructions on how to give a periodic test on the instrument. In the reference materials section, there's also a tab entitled Breath Test Operator Certification Training. That particular tab includes several links to current and also older PowerPoints used in breath test operator trainings. The next tab in the reference materials section is called 9510 Record Information. It contains two hyperlinks, one to a document called 9510 Message Codes and the other to a document called 9510 Record Type. When you open the hyperlink that's entitled Alcotest 9510 Message Codes, you'll see a list of code numbers along with a column for an explanation of what that message means. So this particular list of message codes coincides with the tables in the data provision. For example, in table 16, for mistry information, an error number 13, as you'll see here, number 13, is blowing not allowed. What that means is that the person was blowing into the instrument at a time when they weren't supposed to be blowing. There was no instruction to blow, but the individual was still providing a breath sample at a time when the instrument was instructing them not to blow into the instrument. Under that tab of 9510 record information, the other hyperlink is for 9510 record types. And if you click on that, it will open up this brief list of 4 different record types under the 9510. The first being a type 1 test, a 9024 implied consent test, which is a test administered to an individual who is under arrest for a violation of 9024. A type 2 test is a test administered to an individual who is under arrest for a 90B violation, OUI boating or recreational vehicle. And a type 3 test is a test administered to an individual who is in protective custody. Type 4 test is a training test, so a test that is taken or administered by an officer who is doing their training, so their recertification requires them to conduct a practical test. So when they do that, they will enter a type 4 test and conduct a test in this particular type, and this is where it will appear. If you open up the tab under the reference materials section called MA Draeger Alcotest 9510 Information, you'll see 2 hyperlinks here. The first is 9510 Reports Generated, which is a chart of 9510 reports that can be generated by the instrument and also lists where those reports can be generated. One example is that a type 1 test is a 9024. As previously mentioned, that is a test that's administered to an individual who has been placed under arrest for a violation of 9024. And that type of a test is generated at the police department or police barracks where the individual has been placed under arrest and is in custody. A type 2 test is a test administered to an individual who has been placed under arrest for a violation of 90B, so OUI boating or recreational vehicle. And that is a type 2 test, which is also administered at the police department, so that report is generated at the police department. In contrast to some of the tests that are generated or printed or made at the Office of Alcohol Testing during a certification, for example, the reports that are generated during that process are like the verification report, which is a type 10. Another link in this particular section is a link toward a document entitled Massachusetts Draeger Alco Test 9510 Instruments. That includes a list of every serial number that's been deployed, as well as a LIMS number, or a Laboratory Information Management System number. Each one of the instruments that are in circulation in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has been assigned a Laboratory Information Management System number, or LIMS number, and that is how it's tracked in the chain of custody as it moves, is brought to the lab and moves through the lab and ultimately is returned back to the police department or the police barracks. Under the reference materials section, there is a tab entitled Data Dictionary. If you click on that tab, it'll open up to a page with two hyperlinks, one for a data dictionary from 2017 and one for a data dictionary from 2018. The data dictionary lists out all of the columns that appear in their respective tables within the data provision. The data dictionary all coincides with the tables that are in the data provision. So you'll see at the very top of the data dictionary, it lists tables 1 through 4. This is the very first page of that document, and it lists out every column within the data provision that's in tables 1 through 4. So that column A in tables 1 through 4 is the ATN number, and there's a description. B is the record type. It explains whether it is a type 1 test, so it's a 9024 test, type 2 test, a 90B, or a type 3 test, a protective custody, or a type 4 test, a training test, and so on. The data dictionary essentially describes what information is contained within the different tables in the data provision. The 2018 version updated the data dictionary to include columns, so you'll see that column listed by letter on the left-hand side. And it also updated to include an additional field. It's additional field BQ. It's ID test gas concentration. And it's a field that isn't used in Massachusetts, but nonetheless, it was updated to be included on the data dictionary. The reference materials section also has a tab entitled Quality Control Binder Content. This particular tab opens up a page with a number of different hyperlinks. The Quality Control Binder Content tab actually contains all of the content within a binder that resides within the OAT lab that is called the Quality Control Binder. Quality control is a concept essentially of scheduled tasks that typically include steps conducted routinely in the lab, daily, weekly checks, specific tests on products such as reagents or solutions that are used in order to ensure their reliability when they're used within the lab. The reference materials section also contains a tab called Temperature Logs. If you click on that particular tab, it'll open up to a page that has several temperature logs for the gas room, the archived gas room temperature logs, and the laboratory, as well as the receiving room. You can click on those hyperlinks and you can open up the actual temperature logs for each of those rooms. The reference materials section also contains a tab entitled Quality Assurance Documents. Here you'll find just a few of the corrective action or nonconformance documents that have been generated in recent times. If you're looking for any additional quality assurance documents or anything that dates before 2020, you can contact the Office of Alcohol Testing and a staff member can assist you with your request. The eDiscovery portal, under that same reference materials section, contains a tab entitled Equipment Calibration Certificates. So these are calibration certificates for things such as the clock, the balance, the weight, the thermometer, pipettes, the manometer, items that are utilized in the lab, but that aren't necessarily calibrated by the Office of Alcohol Testing. This is not the section that you will find documents related to calibration or certification of the breath test instruments. Instead, this is the documentation related to calibration of other instrumentation used inside the lab. You'll note from our certificate of calibration procedure that the Office of Alcohol Testing utilizes simulators during the certification process. So under the reference materials section, there is a tab called Simulator Testing. This is for those simulators that are utilized in that certification process. The certification form itself, the BT certification form of the certification packet, lists the name of the simulator. Currently, the Office of Alcohol Testing utilizes AlcoSim and GUT simulators. You can then look them up here and review the testing that's been conducted on those simulators. There's also a tab under the Reference Materials section entitled Solution Use Logs. Solution is used during the certification process in the lab, and the lab keeps track of how much the individual solution lots are used. So these logs are now posted on the eDiscovery portal in this section under Solution Use Logs. The Reference Materials section contains a tab entitled Performance Verifications. The Office of Alcohol Testing has conducted performance verifications on occasion, and when they've done so, they've drafted summaries of those performance verifications, and these have been posted for your review to this section. Only the last several years' worth of performance verifications have been posted here. If you're looking for any additional materials, you can always contact the Office of Alcohol Testing and inquire whether there is any additional material. The Reference Materials section also contains a tab entitled General Notifications. This is a section that's recently been established in order to provide any notice to the public of recent changes or recent notifications by the Office of Alcohol Testing. The Reference Materials section contains a tab entitled Exculpatory Evidence Training. Pursuant to Judge Brennan's decision in ANAB drafted in July of 2019 that allowed the admissibility of breath tests, it included several specific requirements. One of those requirements was that all of the staff of the Office of Alcohol Testing had to undergo an exculpatory evidence training. So exculpatory evidence training PowerPoint has been generated and drafted, and it has been provided to the various employees of the Office of Alcohol Testing. The Reference Materials section contains a tab entitled OAT Organizational Chart. This particular section will include hyperlinks for both current as well as archived organizational charts that go back to June of 2021. The Office of Alcohol Testing began the practice of posting these organizational charts in June of 2021, so you'll see all of the organizational charts that start back in June of 2021 all the way through present. The Reference Materials section contains a tab entitled Approved Breath Test Instruments. It will open up a page that has a hyperlink to a document that shows that the Draeger Alco Test 9510 has been approved for use in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The Reference Materials section also has a tab entitled Trainings for Legal Community. This particular tab will include a link to an eDiscovery training that was provided to the Hampden Bar Association, essentially outlining how to use the eDiscovery portal and what information is contained there. That particular training has a lot of the same information that is in this PowerPoint. The other link there is to an OAT data provision training. That particular training described what types of information is contained within the data provision and how to interpret that information. The Reference Materials section also contains a tab entitled Training Bulletins. Here are 2 training bulletins that were provided to inform the law enforcement community that the instrument has a 25-minute timeout feature when it is left idle during the process of the 5 questions immediately subsequent to the analytical data portion of the breath test. In this part of the PowerPoint, I'll describe to you how you could find complete and incomplete certifications. I've already described a different way to locate certification summaries and other certification information that comes through the instrument and ultimately gets populated into eDiscovery. But if you are looking for the actual instrument files, scanned versions of the documents that have been generated and exist in the Office of Alcohol Testing, you're going to want to conduct a search using the Instrument File Search feature. You can click on Instrument File History Search, and then it'll take you to a drop-down menu where you will want to enter the serial number for the instrument that you're looking for. Once you select the serial number for the instrument that you're looking for, it'll open up a page that shows you all of the available documentation that is contained inside the instrument file and electronic documents that are held at the laboratory. You'll see that the completed certifications for that instrument are here, as well as incomplete certifications, chain of custody documentation, Draeger documents such as repair documents, and initial setup and configuration documents. Each of these folders that are on this page opens up a menu of PDF documents that you can then view, print, and save. One of the categories of documents that are included within the instrument file available on eDiscovery are chain of custody documents. Now, when you click on the tab for chain of custody, it may open up multiple documents. You'll see that because the Office of Alcohol Testing will upload a new chain of custody each time that instrument comes to the Office of Alcohol Testing. Chain of custody documents reflect when an instrument has been at the lab and when it's been returned to the submitting agency, or if it's been sent out to Draeger for repair. If you click on Draeger within the instrument file, you'll note that this tab includes send out packing slips and repair documentation. As I mentioned, the instrument file includes a history of both complete and incomplete certifications. You can click on complete certifications to view all of the complete certifications and then open up a PDF for each of those certification packets. You could also click on incomplete certifications and again, open those PDF documents with packets for incomplete certifications. This is an example of the first and last page of a completed certification. That document on the left-hand side is the breath test certification form, the BT Cert form, and that page on the right is the certification report that's signed by the analyst who has completed that certification. This is an example of an incomplete certification. So it's that BT certification form, and I've tried to expand it so that you could see, but that notation at the bottom indicates the reason for that incomplete certification. It says that it is a purge error, and then another purge error, and that the instrument is being sent out for repair, and those are the initials of that analyst. This is another example of an incomplete certification, and you'll see again that notes section of the BT certification form. Here it indicates the 0.20 verification test results not within acceptable tolerance. Will recalibrate at a later date. If you're looking for information about the dry gas cylinder, such as the manufacturer's certificates of analysis or the quality control documents, you can click on the hyperlinks that are located in the reference section. So again, on that main page of eDiscovery, in the bottom left-hand corner, there is two separate tabs. One, the dry gas cylinder certificates of analysis search, and the other, dry gas quality control document search. Certificates of analysis are documents that are provided to the Office of Alcohol Testing by the vendor or manufacturer of the item. So for example, dry gas cylinders are purchased from a vendor and the Office of Alcohol Testing receives a certificate of analysis when they purchase that dry gas cylinder with the lot when we receive it. The Office of Alcohol Testing also conducts quality control measures on dry gas that is purchased. So if you're looking to conduct a search for either the certificates of analysis for the dry gas or for the quality control documents that the Office of Alcohol Testing has, you can do that in the search bar underneath the reference section of the eDiscovery portal and conduct a search under dry gas cylinder certificates of analysis search or dry gas quality control document search. In either event, you'll need to enter the lot number for the dry gas cylinder and then you'll have to hit search. For dry gas cylinders that are used during the cal standard or the calibration check of a breath test that's administered in the field, you'll find that particular lot number on the breath test report form. Here I've circled it for you. It's sort of toward the middle of the page, and it's under a section entitled Calibration Standard Information. It'll have that dry gas cylinder lot number listed there. It'll also have the expiration date as well as which inlet that particular dry gas came from. If you're looking to find out the lot number for the dry gas cylinder that was used during a periodic test, you would look at the periodic test record. This is a periodic test record that I pulled off of the eDiscovery portal, but you would also have that information on the periodic tests, the documentation of that periodic test that's generated by the officers in charge in the field. If you're looking to find out what the lot number for any dry gas that was used during a certification, you can look at the BT certification form, and there's a few different sections where dry gas is used. I've circled them here and highlighted them here, but you can look and you'll note that there is a lot number as well as an expiration date listed next to the concentrations of the dry gas that's used during the BT certification. So once you've located the lot number for your dry gas and you're in the search for conducting a search for dry gas certificates of analysis, you can click on the particular certificate of analysis that you're looking for, and you can open it, and it will open a PDF document. You can click on the hyperlink, and that's when the PDF will open. This is an example of what a manufacturer certificate of analysis looks like. This one in particular is for dry gas lot number DG0156, but you'll note that it's generated by an outside vendor. Here it's air gas, and it includes information with respect to what air gas is telling the Office of Alcohol Testing is the specifications for that particular dry gas lot number. In contrast, if you use the search feature for dry gas quality control documents and you're looking for the quality control documents for dry gas lot number DG0156, when you click on that hyperlink, it will lead you to a page where you can open up a PDF, and this is what the quality control document will look like for that particular lot number. It will have the signature of an Office of Alcohol Testing staff member. It will have a date on which that quality control testing was conducted. You can conduct a search for that same information, certificates of analysis or quality control documents, for any wet solution. So you can just click on those hyperlinks. And again, if you go to the main page of the OAT eDiscovery portal and you go down the left-hand side, there's a reference section, and there are two hyperlinks for searches: Solution Certificates of Analysis search and Solution Quality Control Document search. For either of these searches, you're again going to have to select a solution lot number using the drop-down menu and then click the blue search box. Solution is utilized by the Office of Alcohol Testing during the certification process, and you can locate the solution lot numbers on that BT certification form. Here I've highlighted a few of the sections where it is used, and it's mainly with respect to the adjustment procedure wet 0.10 adjustment, as well as the 0.40 verification test, as well as the quality control test using a 0.08 concentration. This is an example of a certificate of analysis for a purchased wet solution. This is for wet solution lot number 8213. And this is an example of the first page of the packet of OAT quality control documents for that same wet solution lot number 8213. You'll note that the Office of Alcohol Testing quality control documents often come in a multiple page packet. There is a lot of information currently on the eDiscovery portal. If you have any trouble finding what you're looking for, you can always feel free to contact OAT anytime by email, and you can contact us by phone during business hours, Monday through Friday, which is 8 to 4 p.m. Our contact information and office hours are listed on the eDiscovery page. Down below where there is a section called Contact Us, you can click on the link and it tells you our contact information, both our phone and email, as well as our hours of operation. If you need OAT certification records sent directly to the clerk's office, please contact the Office of Alcohol Testing at oatdiscoveryrequest@pol.state.ma.us. Please specify the exact certification documents you are looking for and include the name of the case, the docket number, the court address, the date of the test, and preferably the date of the certification that you're looking for in the email. If you request those documents, they'll be sent directly to the clerk's office with a business records affidavit that looks something like this. If you need any assistance, either with logging into eDiscovery, resetting a password, or locating a piece of information that's either on eDiscovery or not on eDiscovery, please contact the Office of Alcohol Testing anytime. Here's our contact information. Thank you.